right, welcome back, and I hope you're having a fan-freaking-tastic day. Hopefully it's going a little better than mine, but we'll ignore that. Moving on, anyways, today, I don't know, I feel like we should talk a little bit about a company that, in my personal opinion, has just been throwing hands at the industry, and I feel like not necessarily because they want to, but more so out of necessity to kind of stay afloat. And I am talking about Panasonic. You might know them as Lumix or something like that, but Panasonic. I feel like back in the day for video people, I say back in the day kind of loosely, like the GH4 was kind of like the go-to, like simple but straightforward, small, compact video camera. And Micro Four Thirds had just kind of been like the top dog. You had pretty solid dynamic range, all that good stuff. Everything everybody was looking for in a camera back then. And it offered quite a bit. And it did a lot for what you were paying for. And nowadays, I feel like they've almost got lost so if you look back like 3 years ago, maybe 4, right around the pandemic, there was no real sign of like Panasonic or Lumix on the scene. Like I want to say they had the S5 at this time. And the S1H, S1R, they're great cameras, but they've always just lacked autofocus, which for most people in the industry that I'm in, which is weddings, it's very necessary to have anywhere from decent to like really good autofocus, because moments happen really quick and they don't happen again. So if you're relying on straight manual focus, first of all, you're a brave soul. I've done it before. It's not enjoyable for like weddings, but it is doable. And I feel like you're just always like on the lookout for things when I don't know, it just kind of takes away from something else. Like, I feel like when you have reliable autofocus during a wedding, you can just kind of focus on composition more. You can pay attention to more other things like happening. So with that being said, I noticed that like Lumix, I felt like was at a crossroads personally. And they were like, we need something. We need something to grab everyone's attention, to look at us again. And that was autofocus, obviously. But I haven't personally tested any of the newer ones, like the S9. I would love to get my hands on an S9, even though it has a lot of bad reputation, mainly due to everyone criticizing YouTubers, which I don't know who else is going to review these products for you. But anyways, yeah, I just feel like that camera got a lot of crap, but autofocus, I would love to try. From what I've seen, it is, I would say, up to par. Obviously, it's not Canon, Sony, or even Nikon for that matter. But from what I've seen, it looks like it throws hands with like Fujifilm, up there-ish. So I would love to try one. I'm looking to try and get my hands on one, hopefully here soon. I tried my hand at the Hasselblad X1D, and there's just something not clicking. Maybe it's just not for me. I don't know. Maybe I'm like looking too into it, but anyways, let's get back to Lumix after that little rabbit trail. And I feel like they just came out guns a-blazing, because if you look at their products that they just released, obviously the S5 2X has been out for a little bit and has been absolutely adored by like serious filmmakers, mainly anamorphic people looking for anamorphic support, because crazy enough, there's not that much out there. Like, there's more Super 35 than there is full frame. So there's obviously the XH2S, which is a monster of a camera. Sometimes I miss mine and wish that I probably just bought like a couple anamorphic lenses for it, but I don't know. There was something that was missing for me. I don't know what it was, but I don't know. Could be me, and that's okay. But when it comes down to it, Lumix has the S9, which has open gate, which is a huge overlooked feature, especially when it comes to like content creators and stuff like that, who have to like really like reuse and recycle footage a lot. Like, if I'm shooting like this, to crop this in, I'm losing right here over and right here over. And that's a lot to crop in. You're really digging into that 4K. Now, I know that the XH2S, which I loved for my studio, like YouTube stuff, it did great. It was fantastic. And I could really crop a lot for it. I didn't have to turn the camera or anything like that. So, genuinely kind of looking forward to picking up an S9 and like just having that open gate back again. I miss it, genuinely. But anyways, besides open gate, like they actually have a lot of D-squeeze, which I don't know if you've ever shot anamorphic and trying to shoot without a D-squeeze. It's a nightmare. A nightmare and a half, because something can look in focus and then you bring it into post and you go, what? How did I miss that? Like, it was so off. Like, I shot a whole music video using the Surae 50 1.8 1.33x. That's a mouthful, but it was a super fun lens to use, very creative for a music video, which I wish I could do more of. So I don't know, I might reach out to some more local artists and whatnot. But the downside with it was that it was Super 35. It was on my Canon C70, and I don't know, it just felt so tight. I'm sorry, it was a 35 millimeter f1.8, which gave a 50-ish millimeter point, like, field of view, but then you apply the 1.33x, which then brings it out to something more of like I think it's a 40 or 45, something like that. There's a lot of math that goes into anamorphics, but anyways, yeah, you get ish like a 45 mil field of view. So it's nice, but because it's not open gate, you cut off a lot of that image. And I love the C70, and it's a great image, but it's like barely 4K, if you didn't know. So you're just chopping into a lot of that resolution. And this is where I noticed that Lumix really saw like a gap in that market and jumped in, because even the S9, which I think is like $1,600 or $1,500, which is an insane price for a full frame camera. There are some things that are lacking and stuff, but like for a full frame camera, first of all, with anamorphic support in open gate, what the frick? Like, that is insane. Like, there's other features we'll get into later, but like just that alone is freaking nuts, dude. Like, I don't think you realize, like, the first time I saw anamorphic support was in my C70. And the C70 is like, what, 3 or 4 times that price? So drastically more expensive to get anamorphic support and still not have open gate for it. So you cut off so much of your resolution and cut into things. So not only that, but the S9 was full frame. Like, that's freaking nuts. I don't think you realize how many, there's not many like open gate full frame cameras out there. And as far as I know, Lumix is one of the only ones that gives that to you. Not even, Sony doesn't have one. I think unless it's like the Venice, which I'm still not sure if that has it. I don't think the Bruno has one. Or Burano, however you want to say that. And then I don't even think, gosh, I don't think Canon has one at all. So when you're looking at Lumix, I feel like that's just like crazy, especially at the price point. Like, look at the S5 2X. Monster of a camera, first of all. Dual SD card support. A pretty good, I would say it's a decent display. I wouldn't like crap on it or anything or say it's like lackluster, but full anamorphic support. We're talking from 1.33 to 1.5 to 1.6, 1.8 to 2x. That's pretty much everything in there on a sub $2,500 camera. That's insane. That's freaking bonkers, dude. And if you don't use the word bonkers, like, I don't know what other word you want me to use and keep this clean, but that's freaking insane. Totally insane. Like I said, the first time I saw anamorphic support in like a cinema camera is right around like, I don't know if the FX3 has it. I haven't looked into that, so like don't come at me in the comments or whatever, but it is just crazy to me that Lumix just gives it to you in a sub $2,500 camera. And there's so much flexibility there. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, like, look into it. It's freaking nuts. But the other thing I really want to touch on that absolutely blew my mind and really is making me consider Lumix is the whole like LUT, whatever they want to call it. I'm going to call it a LUT factory because the film simulations for Fujifilm, really, they were the only real contenders in their own ball field. It was their field. And they freaking owned it. There's a huge community. If you haven't shot Fujifilm and typed in like a recipe for it, like, they're super fun. Go to FujiX Weekly. There's hundreds of options. It's so fun. Find like a simulation that works for you and stuff like that. Go out, have fun. It's a blast. Lumix saw that and was just like, we're gonna come after that. We're gonna do that too. And not only did they just do it, personally, after watching videos, obviously I still haven't messed with it yet, and I'm really looking forward to, is they like one-upped the whole thing. Because if you look at it, it's cool and it works, but what they did is give you like full customization. Not only do you get to put like one LUT on there, and a LUT is like a lookup table, it's like a preset, so you can build your own. And not only that, but you can stack two. So if you feel like your look isn't strong enough, or you want to shoot in log, correct the log, and then throw your LUT that you built on top of that, you can do that. And not only is that just in video, which, keep in mind, in most video cameras, or even a lot of cinema cameras, you can only do that as a viewing LUT. So you can only look at it. You still have to take all of that log footage and post and grade it yourself. There's no real thing in camera. Lumix does it all in camera. That did not get enough like clout or respect or whatever you want to call it, attention, as it freaking should have. That feature alone by itself is insane. The fact that you can correct your footage and throw your LUT on top of it and record like that, so all you have to do in post is tweaks, that's freaking nuts. And not only just can you record with it, you can just use it as a viewing monitor LUT too. Like, dude, they threw everything in these cameras. Keep in mind, that is not only in the S5 IIX, it's in the S9, which, again, sub $2,000 camera. People spend at almost $800 to $900 for like that kind of support in a monitor alone. That's a whole separate piece of gear. And to have that all built into the camera, dude, it's insane. And they just like kept going with it, because not only that can you build it, import it into the camera and put it on there, you can do that with your photos. It's not just a video feature, it's a photo feature. And you can do something like that on Sony's. There's like, it's not, you don't get to import your own, but you can kind of build in, like, everyone remembers like fall, autumn, or autumn, fall, whichever it is, and tweaking that and having that as like a JPEG preset. But like Lumix lets you build an entire preset in camera, and you can just shoot. And I don't think you realize how powerful that is, because it's your personal look. Colors tweaked, the HSL, the whole 9 yards tweaked, and you're shooting JPEG and it's done. It's done. That's phenomenal. That's so cool. You're like, imagine shooting an entire wedding and it's all your look already, and it's tweaked to what you always edit with. And by the end of the day, all you have to do is go home and cull and like pick your favorites to send to the client. No editing? Dude, that would be an absolute dream as a wedding photographer. Even video. That's one reason why I'm super interested. Because one thing in video I've noticed, at least with Sony, S-Log3 is such a time-consuming, like, when you go to color grade it, it takes way longer than I feel like it should. You throw on the correction LUT, and then you gotta throw on your LUT, and then you go in and make modifications. It's just, and people have different workflows, I get it, like, and you could probably make it faster, but for me, I feel like it just never is just straight out of camera. And then, so I decided to shoot S-Cinetone at a wedding, and holy cow, did that not change the freaking game for me. Like, keep in mind, like, I did my own testing, so I recorded the same shot in S-Log3 and then S-Cinetone, and then used the S-Log3 to S-Cinetone correction LUT, which is what I use anyways, on the S-Log3, and they look identical. So shooting an S-Cinetone, for people who don't know, you have the same dynamic range. It just, the highlights are just contrasted out a little bit. You can bring them right back. So just shoot S-Cinetone and stop wasting your time with S-Log3 unless you have somebody who doesn't want to use S-Cinetone as a correction LUT. Just saying. It shortcutted my like whole color grading process by like tons. Saves me tons of time. Anyways, that's besides the point. Because you still can't throw like a finishing LUT and record with that. It's closer, but in Lumix, it's just all done. And like, if you're not sure, you can just shoot with the correction LUT and then still do that as a post process in like, I don't know, Final Cut, Premiere Pro, DaVinci, and then throw your finishing LUT on it in post and then color grade from there. It's just mind-blowing how much tech they threw and how many features they threw into this camera, or into their cameras, period. That's just crazy to me. Again, the autofocus, I feel like, is still the only thing that's kind of lacking. But again, that comes with time. Like, Lumix was never really known for having good autofocus. So to compete with companies that, like, kind of, like Sony got their name, I'll be honest, more so from their autofocus and then other features. Because they kind of, like, took the world by storm with their tracking and whatnot like that. And then Canon, obviously, with their dual pixel autofocus. So they had color already in the bag and stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel like Lumix really threw a lot at Fujifilm because you could just customize the living crap out of it. But anyways, I was talking about Sony because you get somewhat of a preset, but then there's no grain, so it feels like there's no character in the photos or anything like that. In the Lumix S9, you can add grain, and it looks so good. And obviously I'm referring to Cam Mackey's photos because I feel like it wasn't just like it wasn't gimmicky. It actually looked really good. And I was just shocked by that because it's all in camera. There's no post. So, I don't know, for like family trips or just around the house and like, you know, vacation, like this to me is just the ultimate creator camera that you could ever have. Like, this to me just beats out so many cameras. Like, I have the ZVE1, and the only reason I really enjoy that camera is because of the low light. So obviously I gotta test that with the S9 because I haven't really found any videos that really like test it out. I mean, there was one, I think it was Benj Heish. I apologize if I butchered your name. And I think he tried it out and it looks pretty good, but obviously everyone's process is different on how they test things and if they want to add noise reduction and whatnot. But I don't know. I feel like Lumix cameras were overlooked for so long, and this year I think they've just been like throwing everything in the kitchen sink to hopefully stay relevant and stay in the game. And I genuinely want to try it out because I've been dying to get into anamorphic. It just seems, it's been something I've been wanting to dive into for a long time. It's just pricey, man. Like, the lenses, now I do appreciate Blazar with the Remus A and B set because those look really good. I mean, obviously it's Cam Mackey showing them off, so I don't know if they'll look as good with me behind the camera, but I genuinely want to try them. I love character, I love vintage lenses, I love what they have to offer. So, I don't know, I've been giving these like a really good look. So, I'll be listing my Hasselblad X1D to go for these. And the other feature, lastly, just to wrap everything up, that I've been dying to look at is the X-Pan crop. Like, it does it in camera with your JPEGs. That's so cool to me. I know it's trendy right now, and people do the crop like later in post, but it's so annoying to do that in post and to edit the photos like that. Like, I just want them in camera done with. And the Hasselblad does it, and it was really fun to shoot like that, but I don't know. There's something about the Hasselblad that just isn't sitting with me the best, that maybe I'll just take it out again before I list it. But if you get at me, like, let me know. I'll probably still sell it. Yes, for a super inexpensive camera. So that's it for this one. I hope you guys have a fan-freaking-tastic day. God bless you. I hope it's the best work day you've ever had. Just everything. Love you guys. And on that one, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.